How do you do an amazing discovery day? A discovery day where you learn a ton about the client falls in love with your company, and ultimately you get a ton of information that you get to bring back to your team and also build an incredible proposal that will hopefully close them and move them forward so we can make that beautiful monthly recurring revenue. How are you doing? My name is Harrison Barron from Growth Generators. We help MSPs grow, whether that's sales training, marketing training, or even some business operations. Before I get into today's video, I do want to tell you about two things because one, if you're not in the free Discord, you are crazy. You are missing out on tons of information, asking questions to an amazing group of people, myself included. But we're over 925 members. That is insane to me. And also, if you're interested in winning the Plod, which I've been talking a lot about lately, but I have to say, I'm addicted. It's the coolest thing in the world. I'm giving one away to somebody in the Discord. So if you'd like to check it out, growth-generators.com/Discord. The second thing is, if you're listening to the podcast MSP Heroes, I would appreciate it that after you listen to an episode or two, you go out and you just give it hopefully a 5-star review. If you're like, hey, that was not that great, 4 stars. And if you didn't love it, just skip it because I appreciate not getting bad reviews. I'm just kidding. Truly, I put my heart and soul into what I do, and I want to make sure that you guys absolutely love what I create for you guys. So go check that out. And I'm also starting to release some mystery episodes on there, things that I don't put on YouTube. So don't miss out on those key episodes. So let's talk about the discovery day. This is the most important part of the sales process, bar none. You've identified your lead, you've called that lead, you've booked the meeting, and you gotta show up. This is do or die. You have to make sure that you knock this out of the park. And I want you to star this video, favorite this video, because this is a video you should be checking on a regular basis as you get more and more discovery days until you finally get it dialed in. Before we even get into the discovery day, we have to talk about the preparation because you got to be prepared to go into it. And that includes a couple different things, right? We want to do some research on the company. I know that sounds pretty basic, but you'd be surprised how many people don't even research. Yes, we're not going in getting a job, but we kind of are. They're going to be paying us just as an outsourced company versus an internal employee. We want to learn as much as we can about their industry, their potential pain points, similar pain points in their specific industry and what other competitors potentially have, softwares they're using, and just anything. Now, we don't have to go crazy. They're not a client yet, but it's good to be aware and prepared. And the next thing we want to do is make sure that we bring the right tools. That could be checklists if you have an onboarding checklist, or maybe a discovery day checklist, a notepad, a tablet. In my opinion, this thing is the end all be all. I absolutely love this thing. It'll never leave my phone unless I'm sitting at my desk and using Zoom, but this thing is truly sick. There's a video coming on how to set this whole thing up and how to use it very, very soon. And once again, if you want to win it, it will be over in the Discord. But you might also need, if approved, a network scanning tool, if you decide to use something like that. And I love bringing a camera. Now, obviously, pretty much all phones have cameras on them, but being able to take pictures of the infrastructure and document those things will help. We are human, we do forget, and sometimes we might see something, but we might not say something. So being able to take a picture and review it down the road is always going to be a good thing. And last but not least, before we get there, we just want to coordinate with the prospect. We want to talk to them. We want to confirm the date, the time, and just an expected or expectation of the duration of the meeting. You don't want to say an hour and you know that the meeting is going to be 3 hours long. That would be crazy. But you also don't want to go out and you don't want to say, hey, it's going to be an hour and a half and you're done in 15 minutes. Figure it out. Over time, you'll get it dialed in. For me, I knew that I needed about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the client. So I would always say, hey, I'm going to book an hour and a half. Typically, I usually fall between an hour and an hour and a half. If we finish early, you get some time back in the day, but I do need an hour and a half just in case we take up the full amount of time. But that's really it. You want to go through that. You also want to ask, hey, is there anybody else that should be present during that meeting? if you can. And you could always ask for permissions previously or prior to getting there to go into the critical areas, the server rooms, see the network infrastructure and things like that, if you are inclined. For me, I just go under the assumption that that's what I'm working on, so I need access to it, or that's what I need to see. I need access to it to actually do a good discovery day. Now, you show up, you shake hands. Hey, my name is so-and-so. Hey, it's great to meet you. So pretty cool. Do you mind if we grab a seat here? And I'm going to ask you a bunch of different questions. The goal of this meeting, and you're going to basically say this almost verbatim. The goal of this meeting is to see if I'm a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for us. We believe that this is a partnership, not a, hey, you're just going to give us a bunch of money and call us when you need us. We truly want to be invested in your growth and your success. And by doing that and understanding your infrastructure, we will figure that out. And hopefully at the end of this, you're going to like working with us. And by all means, ask any questions that you'd like to ask. We want to make sure that we get that all out on the table as quickly as possible. Because truthfully, that's really what you're there to do. You're there to help them. But you also want to make sure it's a good fit. The worst thing in the world is a bad client. Trust me, it is awful. So now we get into the questioning, right? It's a good thing to set some expectations. You don't have to go crazy with it, but you want to start to ask some great questions. What are your biggest technology challenges? Always a big one. You're going to hopefully uncover a ton of pain points from that client. What are your growth plans over the next 1 to 3 years? Maybe 1 to 5 years. You can always ask depending on your MSP and the situation that you're in. And how do you currently use technology to meet your business goals? These are great questions. You always want to ask open-ended questions. You don't want to sit there and say, do you like your technology? No. Okay. You want to say, what do you love most about your technology? What's the worst part about your technology? Let them feed you this information. It's only going to help you have a better conversation. They also want to be doing a majority of the talking. It's your job to have this thing somewhere near you or Fireflies so you could record the entire conversation. It's super, super important because this is going to be your lifeline. It's also going to help you figure out where you messed up. I was just talking to one of the guys at MSP Heroes, and he's like, you cannot give me, I do have one, a clicky pen. He's like, it's the worst. I'll just do this forever. Okay, you learned that. He's like, I didn't even realize I was in meetings. And if that drove you crazy, I apologize. It's just for the video. But truly, you're going to figure out things that you did great, and you're going to figure out things that you absolutely failed on. But this thing is truly going to help you progress faster and faster and faster. I'm not affiliated with this company. I'm an affiliate of Amazon. I just truly think that this is the greatest thing ever, and I absolutely wish it was available back in the day. Now, after you ask your broad brush questions, we're going to use these suckers, our legs, and we're going to go walk around the office. It's important that we get up out of the chair and show that we actually care. This does two things. One, most MSPs, I know this sounds crazy, and the people watching this are like, I can't believe you're about to say this. I've gone into sales meetings, and they're like, I never got up and looked at my technology with the person. They just came in, asked me a bunch of questions, and left. It's crazy. Go around, ask. You might find things that are going to just jump out at either you or the customer, and you're going to find pain points. You're going to find things that should have been tied up a long time ago, and truly the list goes on and on. You want to ask them what hardware and software are in use, what's currently being used, what's going on over here, how often are systems updated, replaced, do you have backups, where are those backups being stored? Questions that we as tech people are naturally going to want to ask. I don't need to give you these questions. You should be curious enough. This is the time to where you could be curious without being the cat, right? You could just go ask these questions, and over time, you're going to just find things. The bigger the office, the more fun you're going to have. Go peek under people's desks. What's going on down there, right? Take a look. You will find things. You're going to see somebody's keys plugged into a computer. You're going to see a random USB. You're going to see computers lying around. You're going to see just laptops randomly placed all over the place. You might go in the server closet and there's just extra computers there. There might be switches that are sitting there with like one port plugged into them. Why? right? These are all things that we want to know about. Now, whether or not the client knows about them or the prospect, that's a different story. But it's good to ask them because it shows that you care. And it also shows that you kind of know what you're talking about. People will figure out that you know what you're talking about just because of the questions that you ask. Make sure you cover security and compliance. Throughout that time walking around, you want to make sure. Now, hopefully this was covered a little bit in that research area, but you might have to ask that question explicitly. Hey, are there any regulatory or legal compliances that you need to meet? And if they say, what do you mean? Like what? I always say the alphabet agencies, HIPAA, PCIe, FINRA, FERPA, all of the random letters that are jumbled together. You have to know about them, right? And are there any security measures in place or cybersecurity measures in place to help meet that requirement? Do you even know if you are compliant? These are great questions to ask. Sometimes you're going to get the answer of, we know that we're not compliant. Okay, that's okay. I'm not the police. Don't worry. It's okay. We're going to get you there. Sometimes they're going to say, our technology company that works with us now, they say that we're compliant, and we take what they say at face value. And others are just going to say, honestly, I hope we are, but I have no idea. All of those are great answers. But this now paints a picture in our minds of the work that we might need to do or we might need to get prepared to do in the case they decide to move forward. And you're always going to want to ask them, what processes are most dependent on technology? Are there any recurring issues that you guys consistently have? What do you like about your current provider? What do you not like? What's the biggest technology problem that you absolutely can't stand? You will just figure out those questions. Just ask good questions. And if you're not sure what to ask, just, as you see something, what's this? Why do you use this? What's going on? Can you tell me a little bit more about your process? You should be able to figure out those questions because they're questions that, think about it. What would your team want to know? If you could think about their questions that they're going to ask you, just transfer that in your brain to the client and you will 100% move forward. So during that physical system inspection, while you're looking around, review what they have. Is it clean? Is it not clean? Cable management, right? And if you use this little device and it's sitting, hopefully, like I tell you guys, in your breast pocket, you can ask these questions. Hey, is this always like this? It looks a little messier than I normally would see. Or did you guys just have a project going on? These are all really, really good questions to not only ask, it helps bring attention to the client, but it's also going to be picked up on this little device as well. Hardware conditions. If things are just beat to heck, I've seen laptops that I can't even believe are still together and functioning. They've been dropped off multiple story buildings. It's crazy. Take a minute, jump on somebody's computer, look at what they actually are doing, right? What's going on in the workstations? Is there any patches, updates that need to be done? You can ask and just, hey, can I look? You could watch me do whatever I'm doing here. What networking equipment do they have? These are all things that not only do you want to see, but you also want to voice to them. Hey, you guys have a Dell Sonic Wall or Sonic Wall, whatever it is at this point. Hey, you guys have a Fortinet, a Sophos, whatever. Why do you have that? Why is there any specific reason? Oh, that's what our current provider put in. You might get caught off guard. They might know exactly why they have a firewall, why they have switches, why they have a certain Wi-Fi setup. They might know their speeds of their internet that they're paying for and that they're not getting at the desk level. You have no idea what they're capable of. Assume that the client has a pretty good idea until they prove otherwise what's going on. Any peripheral devices. This could be printers, scanners, other hardware that's laying around. This should all be photographed and documented, assuming the client allows you. I have had probably the better part of maybe 2 or 3 clients that were very, very hesitant. One client said absolutely no pictures. I said that's totally fine. I was recording in my pocket, just the audio that I could pick up, but that was all I was allowed to have. They said I do not want a single picture out there. Do not take a single picture until we sign a contract. Once we sign a contract, you guys could take all the pictures you want and document it. But for our security preferences, we prefer you not to take any pictures across the entire building. Fine. If that's what you want, I'm not going to be devious in any regard. Last but not least, you want to build rapport during this visit. It is important. People buy from people they know, people they like, and people they trust. You want to be approachable the entire time. This is a conversation. This is not a, hey, give me all the information right now because I'm going to bring it back to my team and I'm going to rat you out. It's not that. We have to make sure that they like us. Avoid jargon. We SD-WAN, and we could talk about DHCP and static IP. Calm down. It's okay, Chief. They don't know what 99% of the jargon that we use is. Let it be. Talk to them like they are your mother, right? Who has no idea about technology. Your friend who is a lawyer, right? A friend who is a librarian who has no idea about technology. Use super basic verbiage, lingo, whatever you want to call it. Hey, that's a network switch. It's basically the thing that shares the internet across the building. Oh, okay, right? They might not know. They might know what a switch is. They don't know what it does half the time. It's okay. You want to make sure that you talk about that. You want to also educate them lightly. You're not giving them a PhD at the end of this entire thing, but you want to position yourself as the trusted advisor. You want to explain to them, hey, you have a great setup. This looks really, really good. By the way, I don't know if you know what a Sophos is, but this is called a firewall. It's basically your first form of protection. I love the fact that you guys already have one. I can almost guarantee you that your customer had no idea what that is. Now, some will, but it's never going to hurt to lightly educate them. Once again, they're not going to be experts, but it's important to let them know that you know what you're doing, and they will appreciate the fact that you are not giving them the crazy verbiage that you would give your team, right? So keep that up. After you go through that, you want to do what's called BAM FAM. Book a meeting from a meeting. BAM, FAM. Pretty self-explanatory. But you're going to wrap up, and you want to make sure that there is a clear set of next steps. You want to just summarize what you found, right? Little summary of the day. This little sucker is going to take care of all of that. By the way, affiliate link down below. You want to provide a clear timeline. Now, I'm very adamant of less than 24 hours between discovery day and proposal. If your proposals are taking you more than 1 or 2 days, you have to fix that, because that is a major, major, major problem. You need to go through and make sure that you can get that proposal. Hey, this time tomorrow, does it work? I'm going to spend all night working on this proposal. This thing has all the notes. You should not have to spend that much time building a proposal because it has it. I used to have to throw headphones on, visual representation. I used to have to throw headphones on and listen to my entire meeting and say, oh, okay, they had this and they had this, and then I'd write it all down. Brutal. Because if that was an hour and a half long meeting, I had to listen to an hour and a half of audio. This thing speeds that up tremendously. If you want to use Fireflies for recording, that's fine too. If you want to record a voice memo and transcribe it with Otter or something else, feel free. But it is important to do that. And then you want to discuss any immediate concerns or issues that you notice. You might have seen some horrendous things that would make your skin curl. You're like, oh, why is there's like a loop in the system? Whatever you see, it doesn't matter. Just express your concerns because you're providing value. Hey, I just want to let you know a couple different things. I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. These are major red flags. It doesn't matter if you hire me or you hire somebody else. But make sure these get addressed as soon as possible, because I don't want these to become a worse problem than they potentially already are. And then that's it. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I'll come back in 24 hours with your proposal, and I'm excited to hopefully move forward with you. I know that sounds crazy, but from the time you book the meeting to the discovery day, it should be less than a week, preferably 1 to 3 days. And from that discovery meeting to delivering that proposal should be, again, at 1 to 3 days. 3 days being a stretch. I like 24 hours because it gives the person enough time to know that you're going to work on it and they can absorb all of the crazy stuff that you guys just spoke about. And then you have your post-discovery day. We're done with everything, right? We want to document as much as we possibly can. Once again, this will make our lives a million times easier. We want to talk about the issues that we identified, the areas that we can improve on. We can suggest solutions, right? But ultimately, we want to build that proposal that is going to help them move and alleviate their pain points. That's really the most important thing. We want to make sure, we want to capture that. I'm a big fan of putting a little summary above the proposal of all of the problems, everything that you saw. That way, when you go and deliver that proposal, you can recap all of that. That is going to be tremendous because especially if it's been a couple days, they've forgotten everything. It's really, really important to make sure that they fully understand everything and you have a recap of it. If it's 24 hours, it's going to be pretty fresh. But if it's a week or 2 weeks because they went away or something of that nature, they probably forgot. You have to make sure that you recap the entire discovery day because more than likely, as friendly as we all are, we may have asked some really uncomfortable questions, whether that's the business owner, an executive in the business, or just the techie person who might even know how bad it actually is. We have to make sure that we address those and unfortunately make them remember those thoughts, the issues, the pain points back when we deliver that proposal. So not only is it less of a shock, but they understand the value that we're providing. And that's truly how you succeed. I hope you've gotten some tremendous value from this video. This video was long overdue. All I ask, because I make these videos completely for free, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. There's a bunch of super helpful links down below. Go check them out. That's all I encourage you to do. Hang out in the Discord. I love the heck out of you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.